So, hello, welcome back to another stream and therefore also to another episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. Today we're going to go through the subreddit, probably the Stoicism subreddit, and there's, maybe going to be some excursus to the Psychology Today site and or other relevant site, Forbes, CNBC Make It, some other sites that I've been on in recent years and recent times, fairly often actually. And, we're going to see after the intro. The super duper. What's going on? The super duper amazing intro. I'm actually pretty pumped for this episode today. Even more pumped than I usually am already. But let's fire up the Stoicism subreddit. I should actually already be there, so I assume, and yes, it's actually the case. Who would have wondered? Me, definitely not. That's just the case. So there we go. It doesn't matter if you practice religion. Okay, you can see everything. That's fine. It doesn't matter if you practice a religion or an atheist. Philosophy. What? It doesn't matter if you practice a religion or are an atheist. There we go. Philosophy must be practiced as well. Well. I think, and this is something that I have been talking about before, and I find it pretty interesting, and I find it also really relevant and useful to think about scriptures like the Bible or the Quran. I really dearly hope that this is also that there isn't an English word for it, and the Torah for Jewish people. If I'm actually very, very sorry. I think that religion, politics, and code at this point in time, those few topics nobody actually should be talking about, since the chance that you're kind of butchering things and that you're messing things up is way too high. Anyway, so the thing is, if you go through those texts, if you go through those books, those scriptures, those intellectual properties, quite often, at least in my point of view, and then as far as I have noticed it, they are based on some rules and values and stuff those people back in those days really just wanted to present and let people do. I mean, there was a reason why there were certain rules, for some people not eating certain foods, or eating certain foods in a certain way, preparing them in a certain way, or just, being a nice person and being a good person. It is tremendously interesting and super duper nice to just, have a look at those texts and really dissect them and really try to figure out what they're trying to tell you and what they're trying to teach you essentially as well, which really often is just so useful then. And this lets one wonder actually, like, if these people back in the days, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, I'm actually not quite sure, if they have been thinking about that, if they have been talking about that, the chance that it is still relevant is so high. And the chance that you can actually use this wisdom to have a better life, to have a more successful life, to whatever it may be, is also really high. Therefore, I think it is not a must. If you're practicing a certain religion, I think there is some philosophy in that, and it is a particular philosophy. It's a particular way of living your life. It is a particular way to interact with people and your environment and the world and whatnot. So I don't really know what this person is referring to. I think though that solely relying on one particular piece may work for some people, but I think that diversity, as in just various different other aspects of life, is important and is useful and is going to give you better results and also more results. I would assume that it is the exact same thing here as well. Just because for example, my religion is Catholic, I guess it's called in English. I'm actually not quite sure. But still, I'm interested in, since I do have friends of other religions. I'm interested in what they're talking about, in what they are doing, in just, how they live life and what they are valuing, just because I think that I can learn something from them, especially when it is parents, and also highly religious parents. Like, why do they do certain things? What rule is the underlying cause of the whole situation, of the whole interaction, and so on and so forth. It's just really interesting. This is also part why I think that living together with different cultures and getting to know different cultures is so useful and so great. And I've actually been pretty blessed to have people and have really close friends from other countries, different religions, and so on and so forth, to just, see how they're living life. Anyway, I want to punch my father in the face. My father lives abroad, my mother lives alone here, UK, and is frail. Both my parents are anti-vax. My father faked a COVID vaccination certificate before he traveled to the UK. He arrived at my mother's house and soon developed symptoms. Cutting the story short, they now both have COVID and her symptoms are getting worse fast. I don't know how to control my anger. My father has always been an abusive narcissist and I have always treated him stoically and kept him at arm's length in my adult life. Now all I want to do is go over there and punch him square in the face and unleash 30 years of hurt onto him. I do wonder if there's more to it. Yeah, please help me, fellow Stoics. Well, first of all, I do really think that it is amazing throughout 30 years to not have already done that. Of course, it's just definitely not behavior that you should have, something that you should never be doing, hurting somebody physically. This I think the least stoic thing there quite is. Well, maybe not really, but one of them, definitely one of them. And so I think that it is already extremely great, that this person was able to deal with, I'd assume, particular difficult situations in such a great way, in such a useful way and also a stoic way. And well, I'd say just do it the same. You can't change it. You're not in control of other people, period. And wasting your time and maybe also wasting just going to jail or something is definitely not worth it. And it's definitely just not a good idea in the end. So I would say, well, it's what they did. It is their decision. It is what it is. Of course, losing a parent is just the least thing you want to have. No matter how much you hate them, you still do not want to lose them. There's still a particular connection that you're having with these people, since they are your parents. Depends on the context though. Depends on the people though, and it's also just really dependent on who you are. I really do not want to generalize that, but well, can't control it. It's what it is. As so many things in life, you cannot control it, and by trying to control things that you're not in control of, you're basically just making your life worse. Period. Unexceptionally. It's just what it is, and therefore just move on and hope, dearly hope that they recover very fast, and there's not going to be any ongoing symptoms from them being healthy again, since I have seen it. And well, at first talking about religions and then now talking about COVID, really good idea. Nah, but well, I would say I have seen people, since I've been working as a paramedic for some time, and I've also been talking to paramedics, and I have also I'm still in this region. I still have a side job in this kind of context. It's not exactly just being in contact with patients in the real quote unquote sense, but still having to do with people, just testing for COVID and stuff like that. Anyway, I have seen people that before were actually pretty healthy, I'd assume. Of course, who knows if they had something, and who knows if it matters. On paper it does, but having some previous issues, but they had to go on rehab because of COVID. I think this dude was 40 years old or young, and he said, well, his condition is still pretty fucked up. His lung capacity in probably the psychological sense is just not there. Physically it, may also not be physically there, but he just can't breathe as he was able to breathe before. And this is fucked up. You are 40 and you have to go on fucking rehab, where you're probably going to meet a lot of people with broken arms, broken legs and whatnot that are like 70 years old, 60 years old. Of course, giving them rehab and giving them the ability to just learn to walk again, use their arm again and whatnot, like this makes sense. It's nothing new, but you being there, as a person that wasn't ill before and just because of COVID, now you're completely fucked. It's like, yeah, but still, I do really understand people being fairly concerned in terms of the vaccine. I haven't had any issues up to this point, but do what you do and let other people do what they do. You just can only give them advice and give them information and give them some thoughts, but you cannot control it in the end. There is a degree of influence you have over certain people, definitely not all of them. But anyway, I lost my dad to COVID. It wasn't anyone's fault. There is a global pandemic going on after all. Everyone has been affected by this pandemic some way or another. Of course, I went through angry periods where I wanted to blame the world. It was a distressing time. But the question is, where does your anger stop? At your dad? The person who passed it on to your dad? The politicians for the shit policies that allowed the virus to get this out of control? Hell, the entire population of Wuhan, China? Why are you angry at just your dad? Anger and the sorrow it produces are far more harmful than the things which make us angry. Marcus Aurelius. What's done is done. Go look after your mother. Get a pulse ox machine. It goes on top of index finger, and if her O2 level drops below 90, take her up to the hospital. Make sure she eats plenty. It's important she eats. Keep her outlook positive and her mood happy. Great answer. Yes, indeed, a great answer. And I do particularly like the pulse. I think it's called oximeter. I just, know it because of paramedic stuff. And when it, as far as I remember, normal levels are 94 up to 100. Getting to 100 is like, okay, It's just, when you breathe heavily, you're probably going to get to 100, but, most people, I would assume, sit at around 99% or something of oxygen in your blood. And obviously, when this drops particularly low, there is not that much oxygen in your blood, which might in the end lead you to passing out and lead you to just, dying quite. And when you pass out, when you do not get enough oxygen, that's not particularly great for your brain. It's just going to be destroyed, and you don't want to have that. You don't want to also have to deal with that. Anyway, and I would also say wear your mask and be conscious of what you touch. Use gloves if possible, and do not touch yourself, in the face or something. It's probably not that of a good idea. How do you achieve this level of self-control / mental states? I understand theoretically how it works, being aware and let go the situations that are out of control, but what can I do on the regular to practice it myself? I am very new to this. To be honest, I've had a tough life than most. I'm just in a state of constant readiness for things to go tits up. It's not comfortable. Comfortable, I guess. I wouldn't aspire to be me. Note that I'm depressed. Well, I'm no expert, but something that has helped me is create space to allow you to catch your breath and reduce your reaction. Mindful breathing, physical exercise, and some push-ups. Snap an elastic band on your wrist can help snap you out of it. I would not particularly suggest anyone to do this. I just know it is a way for people that practice self-harming to not harm themselves anymore, at least not in such a huge way. Meaning, people that cut themselves, some form of therapy is just letting them use some rubber band around their wrist and snap it instead of cutting them. So I would definitely not suggest people just people that are being stressed out and people that are angry, letting them control their anger by hurting themselves, wouldn't particularly say that this is a good idea. Now apply your reason to it, quote unquote, as per blah, 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 blah. Hope that helps a bit. I agree with most of this except the O2 levels advice and the seemingly nonsensical jab at people from Wuhan. You are in the UK, take her to the hospital for treatment now. Well, yeah, this is just also right, I think, depends on cultures, depends on countries and whatnot, but if you see, particular problems, then you just have to go to the hospital, period, But I think, of course, being aware of the fact that some people might need this hospital bed a bit more than I need it, just because I feel a bit bad and whatnot, it's not life-threatening, and some people that are life-threatened might not be able to get to the hospital just because you are there. So this is also something to keep in mind, and also something to focus on, something to not forget, I'd say. If you're doing well, if you're doing fine and whatnot, you're just, being ill, even if it is just, crazily ill, it's not life-threatening at this point, but still, or actually, if you're having this pulse oximeter, you can actually then indeed say if it is life-threatening or not. Another problem is, if you know the blood oxygen level of somebody, if it drops significantly, what are you gonna do? Do you have oxygen laying around? Do you have a mask laying around? Well, I probably don't think so, since these things are expensive and nobody has one of these. And I don't know how long just paramedics take or the ambulance takes for just, being there then on this site. But, anyway. Let's see if we can find something else. It seems that I can't get over this girl and I don't know how to get over. We had a fun time together like a week ago, but somehow I discovered that she might have a boyfriend. She didn't want to admit she called him friend. However, when we've been texting each other, she left me on red. Again, I wanted to try to make some conversation with her and she left me on red. What is even surprising is that she follows me on Instagram, but she doesn't let me follow her back. It's this some kind of joke, a matrix that is unsolvable. Why does she play games? Well, I'm actually pretty interested in what people said. I don't even know how to get over this stuff. It's annoying. I hate myself, to be honest. She's pretty active on social media. She checked their phone constantly during our date, which was an instant red flag. I feel like shit. Maybe I'm not enough for any girl. I'm single since I remember. Maybe she considers me ugly. Maybe she considers you ugly. But this doesn't mean that, somebody else or everyone else thinks you're ugly. Period. From book 2 of Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. What the fuck? Say to yourself in the early morning, I shall meet today inquisitive, ungrateful, violent, treacherous, envious, uncharitable man. All these things have come upon them through ignorance of real good and ill. But I, because I have seen that the nature of good is the right and of ill the wrong, and that the nature of the man himself who does wrong is akin to my own, not of the same blood and seed, but partaking with me in mind, that is in a portion of divinity. I guess it's called divinity. I can neither be harmed by any of them, for no man will involve me in wrong, nor can I be angry with my kinsman or hate him, for we have come into the world to work together. Like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of upper and lower teeth. To work against one another, therefore, is to oppose nature, and to be vexed with another or to turn away from him is to tend to agonism. Basically, people can be deceitful, and you can let it bother you. I can't really say about this girl, but they love playing mind games with guys to get them all warped in the head. Don't let her control your emotional state. I wouldn't generalize that, and I would say that this comment really is based on personal experiences, I'd say. But the thing is, it's what it is, I guess. If there are already red flags, like sometimes it's really difficult to, and also in different contexts, or in different ways and different scenarios and different situations, to, even if you know that something is not right, to still kind of abandon it, because there's always like a balance of, or this thought of, okay, on one hand, this person is doing X, this person is doing Y, this person is doing whatever, and on the other hand, okay, but still, this person is this, that, and the other thing, and so there's, we create some sort of balance, unless of course there is just a real, how should I say, imbalance there, and you can really notice that. On the other hand, thinking about the situation this person is on and not having a lot of options, it really does make sense to kind of still unsee the imbalance that you have actually noticed, just because okay, until my next whatever date, it's just probably going to be some time. So it really does make sense, maybe also from an evolutionary standpoint on, but still, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it is worth it in the end, even if you do not have a lot of options. Like, why? Anyway. Even though I do also want to say and point out, like, this behavior itself, this is also kind of based on certain experiences, maybe even traumas, who knows? And don't judge. It is what it is. You probably can't really change it. You can just be polite and still really nice, and that's quite it. And if things work out, well, they work out, and if things do not work out, then they do not work out, period. I feel like I've gone on a different path than a lot of friends I used to consider my closest. I am a sophomore in college, and most of my closest friends are still from high school. Unfortunately, I just don't have the desire to see them, as I feel we don't have the same values. I feel guilty as they ask me to hang out, and I use excuses instead of being honest. I want to be honest, so I'm able to move on, but I feel bad as they know, as they have not done me wrong, and we're good friends for very long. I want to be honest, but I don't know what to do, as I don't want to say that I don't think I want to be friends with them without them understanding, because I do care about them. I would love advice. Well, I don't know, for me this is like, why? I mean, yes, I do understand different values, but I do also have different values than certain people that I'm relatively close with. Of course, on the other hand, I do have close friends that that they really do have the same worldviews as I'm having. Obviously, there are going to be certain things that overlap, I guess. But I could also consider somebody that is just having completely different values and different hobbies and different worldviews as a good friend of mine. It depends on the context, it depends on the situation, and it depends on what the differences are, obviously. But I don't know, like, the thing is, maybe something that I have seen, I guess, and as I'm just thinking about it right now, I have started this whole quote unquote, and I really hate the word now, self-development journey some time ago. I think it's been like 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, something around that. And I do notice, and I do see some people really getting into this stuff, and really getting into reading books and stuff and whatnot all of a sudden. Well, not quite all of a sudden, they have been for a bit of time, but kind of eventually things just, I don't know, work out again, I guess. Things overlap again, I guess. And I mean, there, I would assume, have been certain reasons why they were pretty close friends to you before. Of course, you might have changed some values of yours. You might be, not into drinking anymore and whatnot, but this doesn't mean that you have to go drinking with them. You could just also do other stuff with them, period. And this is fine, and this is good, and this is whatever. Like, you don't have to kind of, there does not have to be a complete overlap of values and worldviews and thoughts and whatnot. I mean, To some degree it is nice, but anyway, I will consider the step or such steps really really analytically. No, it's not the right word, but I would really think about that, and really think about that step, and I wouldn't necessarily suggest those things, and to just be too being too fast taking such steps. But yeah, anyway, I think I'm gonna end the episode there and also the stream there. I do really hope that I've been able to talk about certain things that were of value to you, and I'm gonna see you the next time. So